Hello everyone, this is the homework video number 28 for Im1. Now it says the first question, name each angle in 3 ways. So we're trying to name this angle right here. Okay, so we can use the 3 letters. We can call this angle DEF. Remember, we're just following DEF like so. Okay, so when you do that, the middle letter has to be at the vertex. The vertex has to be at the middle letter. We can also call this angle, we can go backwards and say FED. Another way we could call this angle is angle E. We can use 1 letter as well, just because there are no other angle that could possibly be called angle E. A 4th way, even though it didn't ask for it, because there is the number 3 there, we can call it angle 3. Okay, because that denotes that we're talking about the angle that is being marked with number 3. What about this? Okay, so we can again go from the letters angle K, L, M. Okay, so K, L, M, angle K, L, M. Again, it's important that the middle letter in the 3-letter angle notation is at the vertex. Okay, the middle letter is at the vertex. L has to be in the middle. Another way is we could call this from M, L, K, angle M, L, K. Another way I could call this is just by the vertex, because there is no other angle that could be called angle L. And 4th way is just calling it angle 3, because we have a number that says it's angle 3. It's not saying it's 3 degrees, it's referring to the 3rd angle here. Okay, number 3, again we can go by using the 3 letters B, C, D. That means that it's the angle that is formed between line BC and line DC. So it's angle BCD, or another way we could call this is the other direction, DCB, angle DCB. Another possibility is angle C and also angle 4. Alright, so to call this angle, we need to go from the arm to the vertex to the arm. So that's angle G, H, I. Again, the middle letter has to be H. Alright, or we can go the other direction, I, H, G. Again, the middle letter is H for the vertex. Or we could call it angle H or angle 4. Alright, so then number 5 and 6, we have to name the 2 sides of each angle. That means we are trying to name this side. And this side is called side DC with a line over it. Okay, it's a line segment DC with a line over it. What's the other angle? Okay, so the other angle could be this. And starts from D and ends in E, point E, and it's a line segment, so we put a line over it. Okay? Again, we can call this line KL. It starts at K and ends at L, and it's a line segment. Alternatively, I could have called this LK as well. LK with a line over it. So I could have called this LK with a line over it, just the same way I could have called this CD with a line over it. And this could have been called ED with a line over it. They are referring to the same line. And then this line here, we can call that LM with a line over it. It's a line segment LM, or we can call this ML. Alright, so now in each diagram there is one piece of information conveyed by the marks. using the words describe the information. For example, the diagram shows segment QR is congruent to segment AP. Okay, so in this case, what do we know? We know that segment TU, this part here, has the same tick mark, number of tick marks as QP. So we can say line segment, okay, shows that segment TU is congruent to segment, what do we call this segment? That will be QP, right? And we will call that, we would use that as, and so that will be called TU at the top, and this bottom one is called QP. And then that will be part A. Then translate your words into math notation. So math notation, TU is what we call segment TU. It's a line segment. It's congruent to, what is the congruent symbol? It's equal sign with up and down curly thing. And then it's QP with a line over it. Okay. Now what do we have here? So we have the angles that are the same. What do we call this angle? What do we call this angle? We can call this angle C, and we can call this angle F, just because there are no other angles that could be possibly called angle C or angle F. Or I could have called this angle BCE or BCF, or I could have called this angle ECB or FCB, as long as the middle letter is at the vertex and the other two letters are on the arms of the two sides. That will be fine. And this angle could be called angle EFG as well. Okay, so what are the information that we're given? It's the angle C is congruent to angle F. And how do I write that using mathematical notation? I can write angle C is congruent to angle F. Okay. Great. Let's turn to the other side. Okay, so what do we know here? We're told that we have a segment EC. This part is talking about this segment here. So we call this EC. It's a line segment. Is congruent to this segment here, which is called CB. It starts at C, ends at B. Okay, so because they both have one notch. So we can write this as A. The segment EC is congruent to segment CB. And how do I write that using notation? EC is congruent to CB with a line over it. Isn't that so much easier to write this EC is congruent to CB with a line over it? Okay, instead of the wording. What about this? We know that this angle here. Now, if I just call this angle W, I could be talking about this angle here, or I could be talking about this angle here, or I could be talking about this angle here. So now we cannot use one letter to identify this angle. I do need to use three letters, and to do that, I need to identify the arms. Okay, so arm, it starts at Y, and the vertex is at W, and then the other arm is at X. So this angle is angle YWX. And what about this angle? Again, we need to identify the arms. It starts at W, So angle W, and then the vertex is X, and then Y. Remember, the middle letter has to be at the vertex where you are talking about the angle. Okay? Or you could have called this angle YXW as well. Alright, so what do we need to say? So for A, angle YWX, is congruent to angle WXY. And using the mathematical notation, angle YWX is congruent to, that's the equal sign with the curly thing at the top, and WXY. You need to put the angle notation here. Those are very, very important. Just the same way this line over it is very, very important in the previous question. Alright, so what do we know here? Okay, we know that BK, it's a segment BK. It's a line segment with a tick mark. So it's a line segment BK is congruent to line segment JF. So I can write A. So it's a segment BK is congruent to segment JF. And using the notation, it's BK with a line over it to say this is a line segment is congruent to JF with a line over it. Alright, now we have another line segment. It starts at F and it ends at point E. So we can call this FE with a line over it. And this point here, it starts at D and ends at C. It's a line, so it's a line DC. So again, this is a line segment. So segment FE is congruent to segment DC. Okay, and using the notation, FE, it's a line segment, so draw a line over it with a congruent sign symbol, and DC with a line over it. Great. Alright, then let's move on to number 13. In the diagram, there are two pieces of information conveyed by the marks. Using words, describe the information. The diagram shows segment QR is congruent to segment AP, and then translate your words math notation. So it's pretty much the same thing, except we have two pieces of information here. Okay, so we have angles that are the same. So angle, what do we call this? It's angle. We need to use the arm, so it's V to U to W, right? So angle V U W, and this arm will be Z to U to Y. So angle Z to U to Y. Okay, and what about the two sides? The segment starts at W and ends at X, and this segment here starts at Y and ends at X. So if I was to write it out, angle ZUY is congruent to angle VUW, and this is the notation. And then for the segment WX is congruent to segment YX. And so WX with a line over it is congruent to YX with a line over it. Similarly for this, we know that this angle, the first angle we know is, we can name it angle TRU, or you can also name it URT. And the second angle is angle URV or VRU. And so they are congruent, and this will be the notation. And then the segment SL starts at S and ends at L, or starts at SL and ends at LS. So you could call it segment LS as well. So segment SL